Hello, my name is Lonnie Jones, and today me and my fellow group members, Carlos Benitez, Jabril Barnes, and Christina Allison, are here to inform Durham Public High School students of the influence media creates through its portrayal of alcohol.
Alright. We've all seen them on television and movies, heard them in songs, viewed them on the internet, and even read them in books and magazines. Everywhere we turn, alcohol and drugs are referenced in some way or another. It's bad enough that media makes it so that no one can avoid it, but what makes it worse is that their usage is often portrayed in a positive light, especially alcohol. The primary purpose of this documentary is to showcase the representation of alcohol and drugs in the media and how they, becoming a social and cultural norm, can affect adolescents in a negative way. The secondary purpose is to raise awareness of this problem and what can be done to reduce its effects.
Quite possibly, the biggest and most responsible component in creating a positive image of alcohol consumption is advertising. In beer advertisements, it's always the same. The party can't start until someone brings a Bud Light or Miller Lite. Or we can also look at how sports, primarily football, and beer go hand in hand. The advertisers are basically saying that you can't really be a football fan if you don't sit back and watch the game with a beer in hand. Another good example of alcohol being presented in a positive light is the Most Interesting Man in the World commercials, where advertisers created an amazing character to serve as the glittering personality to advertise their beer, Dos Equis. Although this character is tremendously helpful in the advertising process, print media plays an important role as well. How many times have you received a party flyer and you or someone else around you has questioned if they're going to have drinks? Oftentimes, many party or club flyers indicate that drinks are free for ladies before a certain time period. Such a positive outlook on alcohol consumption causes many people to neglect the negative effects it causes and increase use. Aside from alcohol, drugs are also presented in a positive manner. In the 1950s cigarette commercials, they oftentimes persuaded the audience to purchase their cigarettes because the taste of it will never fail them. Also, the pleasure one gets from the Newport cigarettes are meant to do the same. While marijuana isn't quite portrayed through commercials as much, we often see other forms of advertisement. It is primarily publicized through clothing, posters, and things of that nature. Not only does advertising praise the consumption of drugs and alcohol, but it also floods the airwaves.
Television and movies play a large part with why alcohol and other drugs have become cultural norms. Whenever we sit down to watch a television program, we aren't only pestered by the advertisements of beer, but also the characters who consume it in the shows we watch. For example, Supernatural. It has absolutely nothing to do with alcohol, yet in every episode viewers witness it being consumed. It's not just that show, but a vast majority of shows and movies that have their characters drink or smoke. According to Strasburger from the American Academy of Pediatrics, adolescents are exposed to these drugs by advertisements and movies. PG-13 and rated R movies have the most exposure to alcohol and drugs. These movies are the most appealing to a young audience, thus it leads to an increased consumption by them. The movie Project X is a perfect example because the party was thrown by 3 high school seniors. Alcohol and drugs like ecstasy were highly shown in the movie as a way to have an awesome party and for everyone to have fun. A couple of weeks after the movie premiered, people tried to recreate it.
If you're a teenager, Project X is a comedy. If you're a parent, it is the scariest of horror movies. It tells the story of 3 teenage dorks who throw an epic house party while mom and dad are out of town.
Just big enough to be cool.
It's supposed to make them popular. In Houston, the trend took a fatal turn. After a Project X party invitation went viral on Facebook and Twitter, almost 1,000 people showed up at this empty mansion. When police tried to break it up, one partygoer started shooting. 18-year-old Ryan Spikes was killed. Also in the Houston area, look at what happened to this home 2 weeks ago.
There was a wild party that got out of control. The interior of the home was just destroyed.
Music is one of the most commonly absorbed sources of information amongst high school adolescents. Due to the easy accessibility from radio and other publicly broadcasted sources, many teenagers live their lives through music. Music has a great influence on the actions of these adolescents. A popular artist by the name of Kid Cudi has a great influence on teenagers who indulge in marijuana usage. Kid Cudi's weed-based lyrics promote a heavy usage of marijuana and basically gives teenagers the okay to indulge due to his cool factor.
Everything that we went over in the video, we believe that alcohol portrayal in the media does lead to an increase in consumption due to the fact that the media portrays it in a positive light. And on top of that, it's an oversaturation of it, meaning that more people will see it. And the fact that it is in a positive light and more people are seeing it makes it seem like it's an okay thing to do. And it becomes part of our culture and more of a social norm thing. So we believe that this strongly correlates with the cultural theory. Alright, so in conclusion, we hope that after viewing this video, people will recognize and respect the power of media and that it can and will affect them unless they are aware. And also we would like for people to understand the knowledge of internal language and how as kids we learn that through the media's perspective that consumption of alcohol and other drugs is okay. In conclusion, we believe that the way media depicts alcohol and drugs increases their consumption and hope that others will now believe the same.
It's like, I don't care about nothing, man. Roll another blunt. Yeah. Oh, good.